pass to Johnson. Johnson still going. Dummies again. Johnson into the wonder Brown. Brown goes in to score. Oh, he's serving it down the touchline. Oh, this is unbelievable. They're going to win it. Oh, what scenes here, what scenes. LeBron James, a shot in history.
How good. Surly Talk Sports in the mixer off the back of one of the worst possible sporting weekends for me. Unfortunately, Warriors lose, Chiefs lose the Super Rugby final, and the mighty Northcote go down in our club game as well, which was a tough pill to swallow. But luckily, the sporting world slows down for no one, and we get to look ahead for this weekend. Warriors, Broncos, Kai Carter France fighting for the flyweight strap. She's all go. Plus, we've got our great mate, James Marshall, of course, assistant coach for the Crusaders. He's the attack coach, fresh off a couple days on the booze. He joins the podcast as well to give us a bit of a behind-the-scenes look into that performance from the Crusaders, which really was clinical. Plus, we talk that All Black squad and a few bolters that neither of us saw coming, picked in Razor's first team for 2025. Of course, shout out to the TAB, headline sponsor of the podcast. Really appreciate their support. So if you're having a flutter this weekend, please do so through the TAB. Download their app or head along to their website. Got a Surly multi running this weekend as well. Kai Carter France to win, Warriors to win. They've rounded it up to $8 to get us a bit more juice out of it. So get stuck into that if you're like me and you believe the Kiwis are going to dominate the sporting action this weekend. But without delaying it any further, let's get straight into that yarn with one of the great New Zealanders, host of Waterlad as well, our mate, Jimmy Marshall. Mate, huge result on the weekend. We'll start with the game and we'll get into the celebrations and some All Black chat afterwards. But 16 points to 12, a clinical finals performance from the Crusaders. Frustrating for Chiefs fans and probably the rest of New Zealand who didn't want the Crusaders to perform like that. But how satisfying was that win? And was that just the execution of the game plan down to a T?
Yeah, mate, it was very satisfying. Obviously, not often the home team goes into the final as underdogs, and it felt like that the sort of whole year. No one really thought we were a chance to do it, especially after the year before. It was probably the most satisfying win I've had, especially as a coach. After what happened last year and just the performances we built throughout the year, I was so confident. I think I remember being on here even at the start of the year saying, mate, the $7 is juicy. If we can keep our team fit, we're so hard to beat in finals footy. And the medical team did a great job. Our whole squad was basically fully fit. And, mate, you saw the clinic the boys put on. Big game players, man. They know how to turn up in those moments. And like you said, the game plan was just executed to perfection, and especially in the back end of that game. And we knew it was just going to be one or two moments that would decide it. And I felt like we weren't winning those moments, especially in the first half. I felt like we could have been up by a little bit more, but once we got the lead, we just sort of strangled the Chiefs in that last 20, the kicking game, Will Jordan in the air, those sort of moments just gave them the opportunity to get into their danger zone where they like to play. I think they call it the playground, and they just didn't have any opportunities to get in there, and we just sort of suffocated for the last 20. It was impressive to watch.
Oh, it was extremely impressive to watch, and it was almost test match-like, which isn't easy to replicate in Super Rugby at times. I did want to ask, bro, going into a game like this, where it's a one-off, everything's on the line, how much time do you spend on trying to nullify what the Chiefs do as compared to trying to execute what you guys want to do perfectly? Like, as a coach, is it a 50-50 split, or do you still try prioritize your game plan over everything? Because the way you guys restricted a dangerous Chiefs side, a back three that loves to play razzle, D-Mac, you suffocated them out of that game. Was that a whole load of prep, or was it still like, this is how we want to play and this will be the result?
Oh, mate, it's a bit of both, to be fair. Like, we knew the strengths that the Chiefs had, and we knew the areas we had to be right on to shut them down defensively. We knew our edges had to get high to cut off D-Mac's decision-making, and we know how much they pride themselves on their kicking game. Like, they've been the best kicking team all season, I believe. Like, they've got such long kickers with Shooter and D-Mac who can both kick long and flat, and they've got other kickers across their back line. So, notice that they rely heavily on their kicking game. We put a real onus on our backfield, making sure we're catching everything. It was a real important part of the game for us, and our back three did a great job there. And just staying in the kicking battle, we knew we could win the air. So Macca Springer, Will Jordan, Severeese, all going hard over D-Mac in the air. So saw all these little opportunities, but we just knew that if we played to our game plan and did what we did well, set piece, pressure, surprised by a couple early, but in the back sort of 60 minutes of that game, scrum was dominant. Oh. We had good success at maul time, so line out went well. So those moments are so key in games. Those big games, if you win the set piece battle in the kicking game, you win 90% of the games. Like such important parts of it, and we did both of those. So it was pretty impressive, yeah.
You mentioned before, like that whole underdog thing and the $7, and I wish I jumped on, but I'm ashamed to say I didn't. Probably not to your surprise, but the Crusaders are known, especially under Razor, for like their theming of a season, and I imagine he's probably implemented that on the current team, and that theming is still a massive part of your guys' campaign. Was that whole underdogs, no one's giving us a chance after last year, a big driving force for the team this year?
No, it wasn't really. It was more about putting pride back in the jersey and the legacy, to be fair. Like the club's got such a great history, and everyone was so disappointed around what we did last year and what we put out there. So wasn't a huge need to motivate these guys. They knew, they were all disappointed. They felt it. So the theming probably wasn't as relevant as it had been previously, but David Havili led the squad, man. He led this team so well, like I'd never seen before. He was such a good leader, delegated so well, brought everyone with him. And just when he speaks, he's just got so much mana in the group that everyone just listens, and they follow him, man. He's a true leader.
How much did that quarterfinal when the Blues lost to the Chiefs give you guys, I guess, a great structure on how to beat the Chiefs, but also the confidence it gave you knowing that the destiny of where the final would be was now in your guys' hands? Like, do you see that as a pivotal moment? Because for me, I think if that final was at FMG in Waikato, then perhaps it could have been a little different. You guys have this 31-0 record at home, which already is a massive psychological advantage, but also we saw the Blues kind of take the Chiefs on through the middle, dominate set piece, win the kicking game, pretty similar to what you guys did.
Yeah, would have been interesting if it was up there. I know that we did it in 23, but the Cowbells would have been in full force.
Wait, let's pause there. What was that, man? What was the whole no Cowbells thing? Was that a tactic as well?
No, that definitely didn't come from the coaches or playing crew. That was a full CEO.
Yeah.
I think it just started with banter between the CEOs, and then he sort of got too far into it, and just with all the publicity that came from it, I know this Jack Measley, the CEO of Super Rugby, was stoked with how that went, because it was just free publicity for a final, even though it was like pretty much, I don't know how many people would have actually bought a cowbell anyway. Like there probably would have been like 5 or something. But
did you hear anyone with the app? Surely not.
No, I didn't.
Because they were pushing the app, hey?
I heard it got 70,000 downloads, that app. So
wow.
Maybe people doing it at home, but I don't. Yeah, unless you have a speaker, I don't think you're hearing the phones.
No. Well played.
What was the question, though? What we're talking about?
No, just the home ground advantage. And I guess when the Blues lost to the Chiefs in that moment, did you see that as being quite pivotal?
Yeah, well, I was definitely winding home the Blues for the first time in a long time with you in that one. So it was a hell of a try right on full time to give us full control of our destiny. In terms of the blueprint, I guess what we saw there was we've seen the Chiefs be so dominant, especially in the last sort of 50 minutes to 80 minutes. Like, they just start running away with teams once they get a bit of a lead. That was a time where they couldn't get away, and once the pressure really came on, they didn't handle it very well. So we sort of knew that if we could take this game deep and close, we felt like we would handle the pressure better than they did. And we just had that real confidence that we could win a tight game against them. We had to do the same against the Blues in our game. So Chiefs had a chance to defend their line to beat the Blues, and we had a chance to defend our line against the Blues, and you saw the different results. Our boys made 39 phases they defended on their line. It was pretty impressive. You just saw that in those tight moments that our boys are not going to lie down and that they're going to give it everything. So it gave me a lot of confidence as a coach that, man, our guys will go so deep.
Yeah, it was crazy and impressive to watch, man. And there were some huge individual performances. You've touched on Will Jordan in the back three. You mentioned the set piece as well. But I wanted to mention Rivers Reihana at the first five position, a position where you've played a lot throughout your career as well, being a game driver. And when you look at it at the start of the year, he was probably, second, third in the pecking order of 10s. Then he steps up and puts in probably one of the best months of footy as a 10 that you could produce, and the actual final itself, unreal. Kicking game, elite, both out of hand and off tee. Defensively, great. Running game, unreal. Can you just touch a little on him as both a person, because that's a high-pressure environment for a guy who hasn't banked a lot of reps, tough to perform like that and outperform DMAC, and then also just the confidence you have in a player like him, because everyone was saying, in big games, you back the best 10, that's DMAC, but geez, he stepped up and won that battle.
Yeah, did he what? Like, I saw the stat around, I think every year Super Rugby's been won by an international 10. So this is probably the first year that an international 10, Rivers obviously wasn't named in the All Blacks, won a Super Rugby title. So you're right around that stat around the 10 is so dominant there. But in terms of Rivers, like, he was our number one coming into this year, to be fair.
Right.
Like, he got injured in pre-season, which set him back, and Taha trained the house down in pre-season, then sort of overtook him. And by the time Rivers came back, we felt like Taha was really flying. So and we thought James O'Connor was doing a really good job off the bench for us. But then when Taha went down, we had so much confidence in Rivers to jump straight into that number 10 jersey and do the job there. So we always knew that he had that in him. Just so stoked that he could do it, because he although he hasn't played a huge amount, or hasn't started a huge amount of Super Rugby, but he's experienced now. He's about 25 years old. He's played a lot of NPC. He's done a great job with Northland over the past few years, and he's just really grown this year as a game driver, and got so much trust from the group, which is so important. And James O'Connor's been massive in the growth of all of our 10s, like Taha and Rivers as well. Just the work he's put in behind the scenes with both those two guys is so underrated. Like, no one will see it, but man, he's put in some effort and just helped educate them on the game and how to run the week and all these little things. He's been a massive signing for us, even though he might not have had as many minutes as he might have liked, especially in the back end of the comp. Is probably because he set the other guys up so well. Like, Rivers was flying in that final. It was hard to take him off. We got Jock on for a minute, but like, when Rivers was going so well, we just didn't want to make that sub.
Don't you hate that as a 10, eh? You're the mentor and you just teach them so well it ends up costing you minutes. He's probably fuming.
Mate, look what I did with Bodie.
Oh, turn it up. Turn it up. Hey, your guys' home ground record, 32-0. You leave Apollo Project Stadium with probably the most impressive home record in world sport. Surely it's got to be right up there in terms of finals. Is it almost bittersweet that you're leaving? Because like, you guys have turned on a record like this and made it such a fortress. It's exciting. You're going to a new venue and like a world-class facility and stadium, but at the same time, like, and you guys are unbeatable down there. Is it like exciting we're off, but also, damn, it's sad to leave this place in a way?
Yeah, they might have to ask them to keep it up for playoffs. Like, it could be play all your home games throughout the season at the new one, and then once playoff comes, take them to the dewy,
Yeah,
cold.
run it back. No roof, Just give them the full Christchurch experience.
Yeah, it's a hell of a record. Like, I've obviously only been involved in 3 of those. Like, all our ones, and there's a few more, maybe 5 of those, but. Man, their record's just incredible. I don't know how they've done it for so long. It's an impressive record, but so excited to get to the new stadium. Well, personally, I am, especially with the attack. Like, these final games, the attack, you don't get to really express your attacking flair. The dew comes in, the defensive lines are so strong. It's more of a pressure cycle game, but get into the new stadium and I'm just excited around some of the things we can do and back our skill set a bit more, because I believe we're one of the most skillful teams in the comp. So if we can back that, I think we can beat teams in other ways. It won't be so much the pressure cycle, that set piece thing that we've been doing, although that'll still be important. But hopefully we can see a bit more of a skill set. And they're always good games. I love watching games at Forsyth Bar. Like, you just know it's going to be an entertaining game, like every one. So hopefully it's the same in the new one, because when you drive past it just looks so damn good.
Yeah, I'm excited to head down there. He's sharing it with the mighty Warriors on a few occasions, mate.
True. So Super Round, I hear, is they're looking to do there. So it's a hell of a place for a Super Round.
Yeah, that would be sick. That's definitely worth the trip. Speaking of Super Round and celebrations, I guess, mate, it's only right that after you win the comp, you have a couple tins, and I'm surprised you're here on a Wednesday. Really appreciate it, mate. But how were the festivities? I saw some footage of the lads at the parade riding the tram, and they looked like a few lads that were about to get a bit of motion sickness. I can imagine it's been some pretty unreal scenes over the last couple of days.
Yeah, it is always very sweet those next few days, especially after a win. I actually battled on Sunday. It took me a while to get going on the Sunday, which I was pretty disappointed in myself. And Monday I was a no-show. My life is too busy to keep going 3 days these days. But I know a lot of the boys gave it a really good nudge, and we had a little bit of awards night last night, so it was probably the best I'd felt all week. So I was pretty keen to keep going, but I had early school drop-off this morning, which had to rein it in. But some awesome celebrations, always good times, just reminiscing, and the guys say their farewells who are moving on, and it's always pretty emotional. And some just good memories around a fire and telling stories and all those good things. So it's great times.
MVP?
Oh, MVP. Dom Gardner actually really impressed me. He didn't have a big year. He was out for the whole year, which was pretty unfortunate. But he really turned up when he needed to on Sunday. He was impressive.
I love that, too. Like, they're not racking up the minutes on the field consistently week in and week out, but off field, just a massive impact. And you need blokes like that. You guys actually have quite a few, like, I think your socials and your players running their own socials this year have been really entertaining. Like guys like Christian, Leo Willie, Moanunu, like there's some characters in your team, eh?
Yeah, they are. And they've really come out of their shells a little bit, which is quite cool. And Cam McBride's done a great job with our social content. Some of his videos and stuff have been unreal.
Yeah.
Lucky enough to room with him on away tours, so we can share some good content ideas. And
nice.
I love picking his brain. But it's cool. I think the sport needs more of it. The more personalities we can bring out, like even Rico, I'm loving what he's doing, even though he's stirring a lot of people up. But man, it's just good for the game that people are talking about it, and want to watch him, whether you want to watch him succeed or fail. I just think it's cool when people put themselves out there. I know you're going to cop it when it doesn't go right, but when it does for you, it'd be pretty sweet. So I'd encourage players to just express themselves, be themselves in their own social medias or whatever they want to do, but because I just think it's so good for the game.
All Blacks squad, bro. 5 new caps, some pretty established All Blacks missing out as well. What were your overall thoughts from Razor's first squad of the year?
I was very surprised, to be honest. I thought there was going to be more Crusaders, to be fair,
Mhm.
especially after that run of games, those last three home final games. I thought there was some guys in there who proved that they were test match winners
Mm.
at that level, who I thought just should have been in there. Ethan Blackadder stands out.
Yeah.
Man, that guy, I don't think he's lost a loose forward battle all year. Like everyone he's came up against, he's just a beast, and he's one of those guys you just would want to play with. All the
Mhm.
boys love playing with him. He's test match player. David Havili, like I thought he was going to be in, especially if you're naming six midfields. I thought he would have been one. George Bower, all these guys I felt like were pretty unlucky as well. All ready to go, man. Like
Mm.
being in the team that's won the big games when it counts, and yeah, I just thought there would have been a few more in there.
In terms of guys like Tavatava Nawai and Duplessis Karifi getting a crack, that's pretty exciting as well. And I know you've spent a bit of time with Big Jim. He's had an unreal season, basically another loose forward. I think he had double the amount of turnovers as Artie Savia throughout Super Rugby, which is crazy. But how cool is it to see a guy like that kind of go through the full journey, right? Like he stood out at NPC, went to Moana, now at the Landers, and now he's an All Black.
Yeah, so good. I'm so stoked for him. He is a legend.
Mm.
I think the big thing for him has been moving into 12. That was a great move for him. I saw him do it in Tasman, and as soon as I saw him at 12 for Tasman, I thought that's got to be his position because he's just so much closer to the ball. He's such a hard man to tackle. His edge defence, I think, has always been something that's let him down, and I don't think he could play wing internationally. So I'm glad they've named him as a midfielder. I'm wondering who's the midfielder who's going to be playing on the wing because you can't just name two. So it's probably conversation with Rico or one of those other midfielders because I don't think you'd play Jim on the wing, but man, over the ball, there's no one better. Man, we highlighted that every time we played the Highlanders, but he's still just so quick on it and so strong. Once he's on it, you just can't move him. He's got a point of difference, and yeah, I know he impressed in the camp the other week, and yeah, looking forward to seeing him get a crack. I think he'll be up to it.
Was McAllister the biggest bolter for you? Because I don't think anyone had him tipped down, and I know Razor spent a bit of time with him down in Crusaders land, but I thought maybe Bell or Moananu might even be ahead of them just for giving these guys experience as that third hooker with a Safo Moa out. Did you see the Brodie McAllister selection coming?
Nah, that one surprised me, especially after they invested so much time into George Bell last year. I thought that was sort of the natural progression. I knew he was out for a majority of the season, but thought he did a great job for us down the back end of the big games. So I thought he'd done enough to be in there. But Brodie was with us last year, and he's a class player too. He's just so good at his core roles. So I'm excited for him. But yeah, it was definitely a bolter for me.
Christian Leo Willie gets the call up for injury cover, but I think they were going to find a way to squeeze him in there anyway because he's been so impressive this year. Can you just touch on his super campaign? Because he seems like a great bloke off the field too, and he seems like a confident lad, but geez, he's got a skill set on him, and he was massive in that final as well. He's been huge all year, really.
Yeah, he was one I was surprised who wasn't named in the the full squad, or if that's what it's called. But yeah, he's so good. Both sides of the ball, like his attack, his footwork, his skill set, all those things, his ability to tip or throw it out the back. He's got all the skills, and then defensively, he's got a massive motor too. Like he'll get through his work. He doesn't shirk any of his defensive work, and he's smart too. Smart guy. Obviously went through his dentistry. He's a qualified dentist. His story's pretty impressive how he sort of put rugby in the back burner for 4 or 5 years while watching everyone else sort of do their thing. And now he's just sort of, gone bang, bang over the last few years. And now he's an All Black.
Does he give you any advice? Like if you've ever got like a sore tooth or filling, wisdom teeth coming through, does he help out the lads?
I actually got told off for asking him if he could do my teeth. Apparently it wasn't appropriate. But,
Oh, what?
yeah, I don't think he doesn't do a heck of a lot obviously now, but
No, fair.
I'd still go to them in the garage just to save a few thousand.
Oh, 100%, mate. Those places, they run a rort. I was there the other week. It's just $500 just for them to bloody look at. Yeah, but it is an exciting time for international code. We've got the Lions basically they're on Australian shores now. We've got the Barbarians this weekend and a pretty stacked team taking on the Springboks. The French are on their way here. Plus, we've got the South Africans coming to New Zealand, which is always massive. Rugby's in a pretty good place at the moment, isn't it? And what I guess is exciting you the most about this stretch coming up, we've got NPC footy as well.
Yeah, mate, it is exciting. And on the back of what I thought was probably one of the best Super Rugby comps in a long time as well. I felt like everyone got on behind that. There was a lot more engagement than usual. It felt like there was more at the grounds, more people tuning in. So I feel like rugby's really strong at the moment in the international game. That's where everyone tunes in, obviously, especially here. Looking forward to seeing how the NPC goes. Previously, or I guess in the last few years, it hasn't probably had the traction it deserves. It's such a great competition, but hopefully they can do a few things to sort of spruce that up and get more numbers and more publicity on it, because it's such a good competition. And mate, the Lions is going to be world class. I'm lucky enough to get over for a couple, so looking forward to getting in the mix over there. And yeah, when the French come here, that's going to be a hell of a series. Be interesting to see who they bring over and what sort of side they have. But no, they've got such good depth over there. I think whatever team they bring, it's going to be a bit of a challenge for the All Blacks. But hopefully they'll be strong and get their season off to a good start.
Can we get a series prediction? I've said All Blacks 3-0, Brooms out, and I've said that before I've seen the French squad, so I'm just a patriotic Kiwi that expects big things, but we know first test we often start quite slow. I think that'll be the toughest one, and then the next two from there hopefully will be too good. Are you thinking 2-1, 3-0?
Nah, like realistically it should be 3-0, I think. Like we'll be we've got to get the squad together, but so do they. Like we'll all be both sides will be still sort of getting that cohesion piece sorted. And but I think just with the final and the guys who won't be able to play for the French, like I think everyone would be pretty disappointed if we dropped one of those games. Yeah. And there's always high standards on the All Blacks. Even if they brought their full team, it would be a 3-0 expected victory. But if they're bringing, lesser names, then I think 3-0 would be pretty short price favourite. I haven't looked at the odds, but I'm sure you have.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 3-0 is the short price favourite, so there's not a lot of money in there. I'm sure there's a few punters hoping for some upsets. The Lions one's an interesting one as well. What do you think for that Aussie series? Because a lot of people are really overplaying that they got beaten against Argentina on the weekend. Argentina, a good side, even though it wasn't their full strength team. They play some great rugby, and it's so tough as a Lions team to assemble in a first hit out like that and take on they should have played Portugal or someone pretty dusty. They had a bad hit out. But what do you reckon this Aussie series? Because I'm excited, and it's not often I cheer for the Wallabies, but I think I might be. I haven't made my mind up around that one.
Yeah, I think this is going to be quite a good series, to be fair. Like I think Aussie's side's going to be strong. Like they've got some really good players, and they've all played really well across the Super Rugby season. And like you say, man, I think the Lions had 2 trainings together before that game. It's tough to get.
And how many sessions on the booze as well? Wasn't there camp in Portugal? Like, wow.
Yeah, that had a few of those by all accounts. But because obviously a lot of the players were still playing in the finals and stuff, so the whole group wasn't really together. So 2 trainings as a full squad, not much to go straight into an international game against a good Argentinian side. So I think over the tour they'll just get better and better, and the more time they have together. But I'm sort of hoping it's a 2-1 sort of series. I think the Lions will win it, but I'd love Aussie to get one of those first 2 and it go to a decider. I think that'd be awesome for the game and the tour. And I think it's possible.
Yeah, mate, a decider would be sick. Well, appreciate you stopping by, bro. Sounds like you got a bit of a second win, so maybe there's some more beers on the forecast for you for the next few days. But enjoy the victory, mate. You guys were clinical. You certainly deserved it. And enjoy your time with the Lions as well. That sounds sick.
I appreciate it. I know how hard that is for you to say. Over the years, you've been Blues fan, and you changed to the Chiefs when
Yeah,
they started winning. But
yeah.
mate, come to the red and black side, mate. You're ready.
Yeah, well, I know Shooter is really off you blokes, mate. You ruined his New Zealand farewell. You've given him nightmares over the last few years. So, like, I'm sure that's extra satisfying for you as well.
Oh, mate, he's a legend. I'm I'm gutted for a few of those guys that they didn't get. Probably the result that they deserve. But
You're also
yeah,
not gutted.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm also stoked.
Yeah. No, cheers, mate. Legend.
Appreciate it, mate.
NRL round 16 in the books, and while the Warriors didn't win, we're still sitting pretty in the top 4, got a 6-point buffer on 5th, so it's not all doom and gloom. Our lads, I expect them to bounce back this week as well. More on that shortly, though. First, we'll review last week's results. Of course, Friday night kicked off with the Raiders beating the Tigers 16 points to 12. Highlight of this game for me, old Terrell May falling over the field signage. That was probably as exciting as it got for Tigers fans as well. Shout out to Jed Stewart scoring his first NRL try. Actually watched the game with a bloke from Northcote Rugby who had Joseph Tapine down for his first try scorer. That saluted. He won 2K on the TAB. Didn't tip it out either until after he had scored the try, so he gave no one else the opportunity to get around it. He actually told people to get on staff with Toa the dog. But hey, grubby move from him, but a great one, and shout out to him. A good win for the Raiders, though, to keep them sitting in second on the ladder with 2 byes still to come. Shit, are they in a bloody good position. Super Saturday saw the Penriths come to our house and steal our shit. Unfortunately, they walked away with the 2 points, 28 points to 18. They bet the mighty Warriors. A tough one to swallow, this one. Watched it in the best seats in the house, of course, in the Spates Clubhouse. The atmosphere was great pre-game. New South Wales Cup, they racked up their 10th straight win. It was a sold-out crowd. The stage was set for a big result. Unfortunately, though, it just wasn't to be, and I thought the Panthers played bloody well here. We struggled to really get out of third gear as well. In saying that, we still competed. We didn't roll over, and throughout this game, for large periods, you just had this feeling that somehow we were going to find a way to win. Unfortunately, it just wasn't to be, though, and a hungry Panthers side rocked up after the chat all week being around how they had no chance, down 5 of their best due to Origin. Clearly, their young boys rocked up with a chip on their shoulder and a chance, an opportunity to put their best foot forward and say to Ivan, I'm ready to go, and push for their selection in future games. And it made them an incredibly dangerous side, one with a lot to play for. And basically, they did to us what we did to them at Magic Round last year. No one was giving us a shot in that game, and we pulled off the boil over. And that's exactly what they did here. And it was a tough night for us under the high ball. I thought we lost the aerial battle, which led to a fair few of Penrith's points as well. Also, that intercept from Tom Jenkins. I think the score was 14-12 at that stage, so we were just down, hot on attack on the Penrith line. We created a 2-on-1. Jenkins, eyes up footy, read it perfectly, pulled off the intercept. That resulted in Penrith working their way down the field, and then Blaze Talangi scores in that set for a bit of a knife in the old coffin. I thought that was a real game-changing play. Also, I love Moala Graham Talfa, and that try he scored himself was a very special individual effort, but he did have 2 pretty bad one-on-one misses defensively, which unfortunately led to tries. I'm not saying it's his fault, just something that stood out to me when I was watching the replay back. A guy getting his first crack in the NRL this year, so you can't be too harsh on him. And like I said, that try he scored at the end was one of the great individual efforts. He created something from nothing there, but those 2 misses did prove to be costly, and at the NRL level, sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing. I thought our injuries in-game really hurt us too. Losing Marata early, that shortened up our middle rotation. Losing Dallin with a bad ankle injury that went unpunished. Hip drop from Scotty Sorensen, unpunished in-game. He's now been suspended, but that doesn't help us out at all. That ankle injury, though, led to a try while he was still on. It also meant Tamare Martin had to come on and play in the centres. Lukey Metcalf, clearly not 100%, which limited our potency on attack. Still though, like I said, we never gave up. The lads emptied the tank and we were right in there until the end. The Panthers, just a better team on the night. You got to tip your hat to them. They came over here with a game plan. They executed it perfectly, and that was a massive win for their season as well. Standouts for us, I thought Jacob Laban was the best player on the paddock. A huge performance from him. Actually chucked a live anytime try scorer bet on him during the game, and he scored the next meaty at $5.20, which I was grateful for, but it was his work defensively in particular, scrambling back, which really impressed me. So often when Penrith made breaks, Jakey was one of the first on the scene to shut it down. That just shows a massive desire, work rate, big gas tank for a second rower, and shit can he move. He's a talented individual. I thought James Fisher-Harris was massive up against his old side, as everyone expected him to be. 44 tackles in 51 minutes. That was a team high, tied with Wade Egan. Big Fish, he didn't stop trying, and unfortunately, we just couldn't get it done for him. I thought Moses Leota was massive for Penrith through the middle, and they dominated that aspect as well. C&K, another big game for him. 215 run meters, 64 PCMs, and 7 tackle breaks. Him and Roger, I thought Roger was a workhorse too. 172 run meters with 5 tackle breaks as well. A big night from those two in the backfield. Also thought Jacko Ford was great, scored himself a try and really ripped in through the middle, as did Aaron Clark, but we expect that from him every week now. He was immense. Talk about doing the tough stuff. He just literally rolls up the sleeve every week and gives it 110%. But unfortunately, it just wasn't to be for us. We look to bounce back this weekend at Suncorp against the Broncos side that is starting to hit our straps. But I well and truly back us to do it. And I rate how Webby just came out and said, it's a bump in the road. You're going to have these this season in particular where the competition is so tight. If a team rocks up and they're not 100%, they can get beat by anyone in this competition. And I think this was a great example of that. Shit, did we miss Curdy Capewell as well. Following this game, Dolphins 20, Knights 26. I was expecting a cricket score in this one, but geez, was I wrong. Another example of a team not rocking up at 100% and paying the price. Probably the biggest upset of the weekend in my books. The Knights turned it on. Bradman Best outstanding on his return from injury. 2 tries, a try assist, and 193 run meters. That is a great knock. I thought KP had his best game for the Knights this year as well. Perhaps that Origin win gave him a boost in confidence, although he was pretty dog shit in that game, in that Queensland game. To be fair, I thought Dommy Young looked good back in Knights colours, and Dylan Lucas and Wellington Phoenix Crosland, the standouts for me in the forward pack. Disappointing night for the Dolphins. Cool to see Isaiah Katoa captain though. He has to be one of the youngest captains ever in NRL history, and shit, what a bright future does that bloke have. Interesting to note too, Herbie Farnworth, a try-scoring streak has been snapped, so tough bickies if you had him on the Carmichael punt. Melbourne Storm 25, Bunnies 24 to round out your Super Saturday. Golden Point thriller, another one that I thought was going to be a fairly easy dub for the Storm. And after they shot out to a 12-0 lead after 5 minutes, I thought my prediction was going to play out and it was going to be one-way traffic for Bell and these boys. The Bunnies, though, they made a real game of this and almost managed to pull off the upset, going down in heartbreaking scene. Shout out to Alex Johnston, 4 tries, 7 off the all-time try-scoring record now. The fact he was paying over $2 in this game is almost criminal. He continues to salute for the punters. 9 tries in his last 4 games now, and I just think he's so underrated as a player. When people think of AJ, they just think of his finishing, but he does the tough stuff in the backfield, and the fact that he could become the greatest ever try scorer in NRL history in the next few weeks, I hope this is something that is really celebrated by the competition, because I don't think he gets the accolades he deserves, old AJ, and I will certainly be getting around him. I'd love to see him make this happen sooner rather than later. What a milestone for us fans to witness as well. I thought Trell Mitt was huge, 4 try assists through some scintillating seeds. AJ the beneficiary of a couple of them, and then Keon again. Fuck, has his form been crazy over the last month or so, ever since he's moved into the middle. And you got to remember, he played this one with a fractured eye socket, but he ran for 235 run meters, 35 tackles, and 80 minutes. That is a man that wants a sky blue jersey, and he was the best middle forward on the paddock in this game, without a doubt. So hopefully Laurie Daly was watching and he makes that selection change for Stefano Utoikamanu for the Storm. Not quite the vintage Melbourne. I thought they looked great at the start, as mentioned, but then they kind of took the foot off the gas, as they have done on multiple occasions this season. And outside of maybe one or two games, we're still yet to see a polished 80-minute Melbourne-like performance from them. You could tell Bellamy was absolutely losing his shit in the coach's box as well. He looked as frustrated as ever. Would still love to see him mic'd up for a game. I reckon the content coming out of that would be one of a kind, but still they tick the box and get the win. Melbourne, they leapfrog us into third on the ladder as well, and they will look to pump the Sharks at home this week to try and get back on track to playing some of their best footy. And then Sunday, we had the 3 games as well. Super Sunday, Broncos 34, Sharks 28. Sharks led 28 points to 12 with 30 minutes to go. But from there, they fell apart. Broncos dominated. I thought Payne Haas was massive. 100 fantasy points. What a roost. 200 run meters, 86 PCMs. 40 tackles, 9 tackle breaks, and 6 offloads in 58 minutes after backing up from Origin. Fuck me, that is crazy. Katoni Staggs was great, as was Shibasaki and Reece Walsh. Probably the other standouts in a great win for Madge's lads. The Roosters, 42, Cowboys, 8. Back-to-back hidings now for the Cows. They've lost their last 2 games by a margin of 100 points to 12. Toddy Payton must be hanging on to that gig by the skin of his sacks. The Roosters ran riot here. Marky Mark scoring some great tries again. I thought Teddy was outstanding at the back. And Nafahu White, he topped over 200 run meters too. Good to see him sign a fresh extension. I think until the end of 2029. Would love to see him join the Warriors after that, because fuck is he a good footballer. For me, the Cowboys just failed to fire a shot. They had nothing in the duffel bag to be able to stop the Chooks, who looked pretty deadly in this game. Cowboys, they need to take a look in the mirror. Their last 2 or 3 weeks has been bloody embarrassing. And then the final game, another upset in my books. I thought there was no way a Joash Papali and a Footy Dean-led side, those two in the 6 and 7, could get them the win. But Parrot, they proved me wrong. 36 points to 20. A good dub for them in what was 16th versus 17th on the ladder. Perhaps a spoon bowl preview, but Parrot get the important 2 points. That actually moves them up the ladder. They jump the Bunnies now, who are sitting second to last, which is pretty crazy to see a Wayne Bennett-led side struggling down the bottom of the ladder. But a good dub for Parrot. They get Dylan Brown back this week too, so perhaps they can kick themselves into gear and go on a winning streak. Still no Mitch Moses though, of course, so I think that could be their Achilles heel. But on to this week, round 17. Thursday night footy is back. Praise the rugby league gods. And it's a doozy as well. Panthers versus the Dogs. I think this is going to be bloody close. The 4-time champs up against their feeder club, the Penrith Poachers, led by Gussie Gould and Serraldo. 2 men influential in building that Panthers dynasty. It's a big game for the Panthers too. They're sitting in 8th now after that horrible start to the year. That win last week shot them up the ladder massively. And if they can get a result here, they then have the bye next week before taking on the Eels, Bunnies, Tigers, Titans and Knights. Literally the bottom 5 teams in the comp at the moment. You'd have to back them in to win all 5 of those, even with one of them in an Origin window. Shit, if they go on a streak, they could suddenly be in 5th, hot on the heels of the top 4, which is crazy to consider. Start of the season, it was lined through them. They can't win it. But hey, when push comes to shove, 10 rounds to go, here they are in the top 8 and looking like they could go on a winning streak. Just goes to show you can never write off a classy football side like Penrith. And good news for them, they welcome back Isaiah Yeo, Nathan Cleary, Brian To'o, Liam Martin and Dylan Edwards after all being rested last week. Scotty Sorensen, he's out suspended for that hip drop on Dallin, which I referenced before. 4 to 6 week injury for the Flying Mullet, really unfortunate. Didn't go punished during the game, which makes it even tougher to swallow, but I do like Scotty Sorensen. I'm a fan of his when he plays for the Kiwis, so it is what it is, but I feel incredibly sorry for Dal. It's been a frustrating 2025 season for him. Started the year with that broken wrist, now this. Tough pickies for the Flying Mullet. But for the Dogs, they get back Stephen Crichton, Max King, Kurt Mann and Matty Burden after the bye. Lachlan Galvin, he's named again in the 17 jersey, so keen to see how they use him in this one. I thought they might have just ripped the Band-Aid off and started him in the halves after he started their last game prior to the bye, but that's not the case. They want to stick by Sexton. Credit to them. Could be a late switch potentially, but at this stage, named in the 17 jersey, and I think his impact on this one could be big. Friday night footy, Manly, Tigers, 10th versus 14th, almost desperation time for Manly as well, who interestingly, they've lost 3 of their last 4 home games at Four Pines, a place which has historically been a fortress for them. For the Tigers, it's not much better either. 5 straight losses for them now, but they haven't rolled over. In fact, 3 of those 5 losses have been by 4 points or less. They lose Doreen Bullavanaka this week, which will hurt, but I think they'll also smell blood in the water and like their chances to trip up the Gulls, a side desperate for form. Seabold, another one, Skinner sack season. I think if they lose this game, then he could well be gone as well. For Manly, Tommy Turbo, he's moved into the centres. Lehigh Hopewadi, he will play fullback this week. A pretty big positional switch, but one that I actually really like. Tommy clearly hasn't been himself this year. You can tell he's battling with injuries to the lower limbs, so lessening the amount of Ks he has to travel during a game, lowering his workload. I reckon that'll be massive for his rig. Give him early pill, get him one-on-one, allow him to roam like he's done for New South Wales and Origin when he's played centre as well. I think this is going to be a great move for Manly. Lehigh at the back, he's a gun as well, so you don't lose too much. He's also now made his way into my fantasy side, so I'm expecting big things. Jazz Tavanga made up to him, gave him a hug after he left him hanging on that dap up, as mentioned on the last pod. So I think Lehigh will come into this a happy lad and ready to rip and tear. Of course, no Hamoli Olakawatu, dislocated shoulder. Corey Waddell gets the start, and Lockie Croker, he is out with concussion as well, so Jazz Tavanga, the bald eagle, he gets the start at 9 for the Tigers. Heath Mason comes in for Buller at the back. He's 4 weeks out with a hamstring injury. Jerome Luai, he'll move to 5'8". Latu Fainu, he will start in the 7. Good fantasy buy there too, Latu for me. I think they're going to run the team this way once Buller comes back as well. So Buller at the back, Luai at 6, Fainu at 7 is how I expect them to go with moving forward. Latu, he's been touted the next big thing out of Tiger Town, and I reckon Benji will just give him the keys after this performance. Knights versus Raiders follows that one. Knights on a 2-game streak. Raiders, they've won 9 of their last 10, sitting in second on the ladder with 2 buys up their sleeves. Sticky Ricky has this team humming, a team that was touted to be potential wooden spoon favourites at the start of the year, and now they're primed to at least finish in the top 4 and play finals footy. What a season it has been for them. For the Knights, blow me down, another change in the house for this game. This time at least though, it is due to injury, so I can cop that one on the chin. But Jackson Hastings, he comes in for Fletcher Sharp, who actually ruptured his spleen and lacerated his kidney last week. Just reading that injury sounds fucking painful. It sends shivers down the spine, so hopefully he is doing all right. Love watching Fletcher Sharp play. It's not just the mullet, but the way he goes about his work. He's always exciting to watch. In the pack, they welcome back Jacob Saifidi, who will play his first game since round 11. That is a big inclusion. And interesting to note, Tommy Young gets another start on the wing for his new old side. But Greggy Marju, Greg the Leg, named on the bench, a potential late inclusion. So keep an eye on him to come in, probably for the old Schiller in Manila. because Greg Marju, he is handy in the backfield on those yardage carries. For the Raiders, Simi Sasagi, he comes into the starting side in place of Hudson Young, who has been rested for this one. Outside of that, that's the only change, so a pretty settled 17 for old Stick. Super Saturday, Broncos Warriors, how good. First game of 3, Warriors big underdogs. Loving the odds on this one. More on that in the punting segment shortly. But the Bronx chasing 3 straight victories. That is not going to happen. Saturday at Suncorp, you truly can't beat it in terms of an away game experience. The Warriors fan section has been sold out for about a month in advance. The fans are packing out the Lord Alfred pre-game. This one is going to have mini Magic Round vibe to it as well. It's actually a double header with the Dolphins hosting the Bunnies later that night. So the stage is set for an ambush at a ground we love playing at. We've won 3 of our last 4 at the Corp. We've won twice there already this season. Snap up those $2.40 odds. To me, that is wild. For the Broncos, Coach Madge Maguire, he goes with the same 17 that got the job done against the Sharks. Winger Selwyn Cobb&Co, still listed amongst the reserves. Surely he's set to leave. Apparently the Dragons and the Bunnies keen on him effective immediately. I'd still love to see him play under Wayne at South Sydney. Walshy playing some good footy at the moment since returning from his knee injury, pain in the Haas. He will be key to shutting down through the middle. Fish and Aaron Clark going to have their work cut out for him there. They do have strike out wide and in the centres. Ezra Mam and Reynolds will look to run the cutter as well. They're a dangerous side on their day. They have weapons all throughout their 17. You have to acknowledge that. But thankfully for us, I don't think Saturday is going to be their day. It is going to be the Warriors' day, and I can't wait to watch the boys bounce back in this one. For us, the Warriors, the loss of Dallin Watene-Zelezniak brings Ed Cossey into the side, while Rocco Berry, aka Bootlace Berry, he is back from that hamstring strain and will take his spot in the centres with Kurdy Capewar, our Origin lad, returning. So Leka Halasima goes to the bench and Tanner Stowers-Smith goes to 18th man. Found it pretty interesting with Ed Cossey on the wing, as did a lot of Warriors fans by the look of the comments on social media, but Webby opting with a genuine specialist winger rather than going with Tain Tuopiki, who started the season there and played some pretty good footy. So I assumed he was just going to be straight in there when I saw Dell leave the field last week, but I'm happy to back Webby in with this call. He's the fucking man. Very rarely does he get one wrong. It did raise a little eyebrow for me. Cossey, though, last start, great against the Cows, playing with a broken collarbone, so you could argue he's earned that spot. Tain coming in off the back of an HIA, unfortunately being knocked out in that dog shot against the Parramatta B side as well. He's still listed in the 23 too, so there's a chance he could come into the team closer to kickoff. Watch that space. In terms of other injury news, good news around Lukey Met being available. Saw him at training on Tuesday. He was out there running around. Did have a non-contact bib on though, but that would just be precautionary. He doesn't need to be taking shots during the week, so it looks like he is ready to rip. Dalium leading 7. Also good to see Marata named. Now has stitches in 3 spots on his face, all in similar locations as well, on the forehead, in between the eyes, so the bro is going to be looking scarier than ever. And he's a great inclusion for our middle forwards. I really thought we missed him last week when he departed. Just that enforcer in the middle alongside Fish and Aaron. And no doubt he will make his presence felt, ripping into Paddy Carrigan and Payne Haas. I just think Warriors get the job here. I think we target Ezra Mam defensively like the Sharks did last week, and that should lead to points through the middle. Hopefully Met's back to 100%. All our lads are humming. Chip on shoulder, point to prove. The boys can't wait to get back out on the paddock and rewrite last week's wrongs. Warriors 13 plus in our cup side to get the dub as well and make it 11 on the trot. How good are they this year? Then Dragons, Eels off the back of that. Dragons off the bye, Eels off the win. A rematch of that round 5 clash as well, where the Eels won in Golden Point. We had Lomax kicking the field goal that day against his old side and then breaking down in tears post-match. Gutho, he gets another shot, a crack at redemption up against his old team too. So this should be an interesting watch. For the Dragons, Corey Allen and Christian Tuipulotu return from hamstring injuries to take their spots on the the wing, Valentine's Day Holmes. He is also back from Origin duty, and Jaden Sewer named to bolster their forward pack, which is a big addition there off the back of an ankle injury. For the Eels, Dylan Brown, he's back from suspension, so Joash Papali moves onto the bench. Jordan Samrani joins in the starting side as well in the centres, with Will Penasini serving a 3-game ban for a dangerous tackle. Unfortunately, I sold Samrani last week from a fantasy, so that sucks. But hey, you can't win them all. Dolphins Bunnies, final game on your Super Saturday, and as I alluded to before, it's the second of your Suncorp double header. It's the Master versus the Apprentice at Suncorp. Wayne Bennett taking on his old side up against Christian Wolf, head coach of the Dolphins. Now the Finns, they sit in 9th on the ladder. They'll be eager to bounce back after their disappointing loss last week to the Knights. South Sydney, they also had their hearts broken last Saturday, losing to Melbourne, Golden Point, as we touched on before. So it's two sides hungry for a dub. Great coaching rivalry. I reckon this one is going to be entertainment deluxe. For the Finns, just the one change to their side. Unfortunately, Jack Bostock, the flyer, the big bopper out on the sting, a prolific try scorer. ACL injury, massive blow for him. So Junior Tupou comes in onto the sting for his first NRL game since round 2. For the Bunnies, positive news for them. Campbell Graham and Cody Walker return to their backline. So Jackie Whiten shifts from 5'8" to centre. Ewan Aitken back into the second row. They also get back Peter Mamazalis at hooker, coming back from an ankle injury. So that's some big inclusions. Keep in mind as well when watching this one, AJ, 7 more tries for the record, so ride him home. What an absolute rooster. Super Sunday, 2 games to round us out. Storm versus Sharks, keen for this one as well. Storm bet the Sharkies a couple weeks back at Shark Park, and there was a lot of push and shove, a lot of feeling in this game, particularly between Ronaldo Mulatalo and Ryan Papenhausen. So I'm keen to see if that carries over into this clash. Bit of potential for some biff, maybe. For the Storm, Xavier Coates comes back from Origin, as does Stefano and Trent Lieru, who will start this week after playing last week, but off the bench in restricted minutes. For the Sharkies, pretty settled 17. Oregon Kafusi comes back to start after being a late out last week, but that is their only change. Sharks, they'll be desperate for a dub. Thought they played well at times last week, shot out to that early lead, but then surrendered. I think their attack's been good. They've just been leaking points, man. You can't expect to not win games scoring 28 points. That should be enough to defend. The fact they're leaking multiple 30-point games, it's just not good enough for them. They're going to look to have to tighten that up, but they're coming up against a high-flying offense, arguably the best spine in the comp in the Melbourne Storm. So there's potential for points in this one if the Sharks don't sort their shit. Speaking of potential of points, last game of the round, surely there's going to be a truckload in this one. Both teams not big fans of defense. Titans versus the Cowboys. Cbus Super Stadium on the Goldie. I reckon this could be a spectacle and a great one for some same game multis. For the Titans, Tommy Weaver comes in at halfback with Jaden Campbell out with a head knock. Unfortunately, Carter Gordon not ready to play. I really want to see him make his NRL debut. Of course, ex-Wallabies first 5. I reckon him in the halves would be a pretty nice play. The Titans, though, they do welcome back Tino Fasor Malawi and Mo Fotuweka into the starting side after they played off the bench last week in that loss to the Eels. For the Cowboys, Jake Clifford, the big red dog, he gets a recall at 5'8". Jackson Purdue shifts back to the centres as Toddy P searches for some creativity and strike on attack. They also get Reece Robson and Ruben Cotter back on deck as well. So let's see if that's enough to get them over the line. It's a must-win for them. I've been saying this for weeks. If Payton doesn't win this game, then surely his head is on the chopping block. With a roster like this, full of Origin stars, they shouldn't be getting spanked every week, and they certainly shouldn't be getting spanked by the Titans. So interested to watch this one. Some big games this week, some close ones, starting with tonight's clash, which I think has potential to be a doozy. Up the wires, we bounce back. Top 4, we cement ourselves in that. Another potential 4-point win ahead of the bye next week too, so the lads are going to be fired up as fuck. If you're heading to Suncorp, enjoy it. I'm extremely jealous. You get to watch the boys get the chocolates and some beautiful weather. Make sure to have some tins and really rip in. Enjoy the Lord Alfred as well. I'm just confident the boys are going to put on a show and get the dub. A Suncorp special on Ways. You gotta fucking love it. Carmichael punt time. Let's have a cheeky flutter and we'll kick it off with the NRL. Shit, has that been an absolute roller coaster to get around this year, but hopefully green ticks on bet slips for round 17. Starting with tonight's game, Panthers $2.10 underdogs up against the Doggies paying $1.73. The Panthers, they've won their last 7 straight games against the Doggies as well, of course. That was their dynasty era. They're not quite the same team that they have been over the last 4 years, but still, Origin stars back. I reckon they're in with a sniff here. Add to that, the Dogs have only won 1 of their last 4 games at CommBank. They don't like playing there as a venue. For your try scorers, Thomas Jenkins, aka Milky. Shit, he's killed us last week. Can't believe off the back of Origin camp, clearly that boosted his form and confidence as well. He comes to Mount Smart, pulls off a burglary, first try scorer, plus he got that intercept to set up Blaze Talangi, as I mentioned before. He scored 8 tries in his last 6 games, 5 tries in his last 3, paying $2.10. Not a bad option there. Then on the opposite sting, here comes To'o. He's fresh off a hat-trick in Origin. He scored 3 tries in his last 2 games against the Doggies as well. $2.10 again. Pretty good odds for a try scorer like him. Also Luke Garner, shout out to him. 7 tries in his last 8 games against the Bulldogs. That's an unreal record for a bloke paying $5.40. That's almost worth a cheeky little side investment right there. For the Doggies, winger Marcelo Montoya, he'll make his 150th NRL appearance. Miss him from the Warriors, heck of a bloke, good leader on and off the paddock, and he's in some good form at the moment as well. 3 tries in his last 2 games. He's also paying $2.10, so basically all wingers paying $2.10 this week, which should lead to some lucrative opportunities for same-game multis. If you wanted to wicked winger those 3 up, that would be a decent bet by itself. For your same-game multi, I think the Panthers are in with a sniff here, so I've decided to play it safe, and I've done this for multiple games across the round this week. If you're a regular listener, you know I enjoy that try bet, either team to win by 1 to 12 points as an option. Well, that's what I've run here into To'o and Montoya, getting $6.22. Full Fizz Friday, double header. First game, Manly $1.46, Tigers $2.75. Manly, they've won 6 of their last 7 against the Tigers, and the Tigers haven't won at 4 Pines Park since 2020. For your try scorers, the People's Neck, DCE, he scored 7 tries in his last 6 games against West. In horrible form at the moment. So maybe this is the week where his season kicks back onto track and he can find his way across the chalk. Tommy Turbo, 3 tries in his last 3 games against the Tigers. He's playing centre this week though, so factor that in at $1.80. And speaking of centres, Tolu Kola, 7 tries in his last 5 games at 4 Pines, $2.45. I love that value for him. For the West Tigers, Api Coruscant loves taking on his old side in Manly. He's on a 4-game try-scoring streak against them, paying $4.60. That is lucrative odds right there. As is Stafford Toa, 4 tries in his last 2 games, $2.70. Not bad at all. For your same game multi, this is another either team 1 to 12 for me. It's real coward stuff, but I just can't pick them in with how volatile the comp is at the moment, how hard it is to predict. I think it's a pretty smart play. Manly on the ropes, coach almost out the door, pressure is on them, but they are at home. Tigers team don't fold, so I expect them to keep it close. So either team 1 to 12 into Stafford Toa and Tolu Kola, $9.42. Knights $2.90, Raiders $1.42. Knights have won 4 of their last 5 against the Green Machine, which surprised me, but the Raiders have won their past 6 straight games away from home, and the Knights, they've lost 5 of their last 6 games they have played at home. For your try scorers, the Knights, they've conceded their largest percentage of tries through the middle of the paddock this year, so Simi Sasagi, who is in for Hudson Young, and Joseph Tapane, for me, they are great options. KO Weeks, 2 tries in his last 3 games against the Knights, he's paying paying $2.80. Jed Stewart, 1 try in his 1 NRL game, has never laced up the boots in the NRL and not scored, so surely you jump on him, paying $2.02 for the Knights. Phoenix Crosland, Old Wellington Phoenix, he'll make his 100th NRL game. Starting at lock, thought he played bloody good there last week, $8.50 for him. Great long shot to salute as he raises the bat. Bradman Best scored a double on return from injury last week. Could say he's back to his best. Paying $2.70. And then Dommy Young, the XL condom, scored on his return to the night side last week. He scored 5 tries in his last 6 games against the Raiders, paying $2.10. Decent odds right there. Same game multi, Raiders, Sasagi, Young, 10 rugby league dollars. Super Saturday, triple header, first of which, real lip liquor, main event stuff. And shout out to the TAB. We thank them for the lucrative and generous odds that the bookies have dished up this week. Broncos, $1.57. Warriors, $2.40 head to head. Love that. I also love $3.75, 1 to 12, and $6.13 plus. That is on offer. How bloody good. The Warriors have won 3 of our last 4 games at Suncorp, and we've won our last 2 games against the Broncos as well. Interestingly, we haven't beaten the Broncos at Suncorp since 2018, so those wins in Brizzy have been against the Finns or during Magic Round. Still, it's basically a home game for us, as I alluded to before, and I reckon sun's out, Suncorp, lads on a streak, we get the job done. For your Broncos try scorers, Shibasaki, sounds like some Japanese cuisine, but shit is he scoring tries at the moment. 4 in his last 2 games, paying $2.60. And Karapani, he scored 4 tries in his last 2 games, and he's also on that right side for us defensively, which has been where we've conceded 61% of our tries this year, so him at $1.92 is really good buying as well, as is Jordan Ricky. Scored a try in his last 2 games against us, which surprised me a little, paying $5.40. It's a hot boy on a hot day in a hot location in front of a sold-out crowd. That could be every box tick required in order for him to sneak his way onto your slip, and if you have him in your multis, then I won't be ashamed of you. For the Warriors, CHT, another hot boy who is looking to score. He scored 2 tries in his last 2 games against the Bronx as well, paying $4. Big Ed Kossi, he scored 2 tries in his last 2 games in the NRL, paying $2.20. Gets a start on the Sting, of course. Jacob Laban, value bet, $6 for a starting second rower off the back of a man of the match performance. That is big Bicky. And I also still refuse, I will never quit, to have Aaron Clark in a side investment, $9.25 this week, so he's back up to those real juicy odds. He's cost me a shit ton so far this year, but I just want to be on it when he does score, and I think he will do it at some stage this season, or I fucking hope so anyway. So get up there, Aaron. I am jumping on, but get around it as well with caution. Same game multi, Warriors, Karapani, CHT, 16.26, with also a little side bet on Warriors 13 plus at $6. Go the fucking boys. Dragons, $1.67, Para, $2.20. The Eels have won their last 4 straight against the Dragons, but the Dragons have won 4 of their last 5 against the Eels at Wynn Stadium, which of course is the venue for this game. Joshie Addo-Carr, 9 tries in his last 7 against the Drags. Dylan Brown, 2 tries in his last 2 games against the Dragons. And Sean Russell, the love muscle, he has an 100% try-scoring record against the Red V, paying $3.40 for the Dragons. Christian Tuipolotu, 2 tries in his last 3 games against the Eels at $2.70 for the money man. And then David Clemmer, not someone I would tip out, but it is his 250th NRL game. He's paying $10.50. Not a fan of this bet, but hey, whatever tickles your fancy. If you love getting around milestones, then maybe the big ogre can salute for you. Shit, would that have the potential to make your weekend on the punt at $10.50? Lucrative stuff. Same game multi, another either team 1 to 12 for me, with Tuipolotu and the Fox at $5. $5. Dolphins, Bunnies, looking forward to this game. Dolphins $1.57 favourites, Bunnies $2.40. I reckon it's going to be an entertaining clash. The Rabbitohs, they've lost their last 3 straight at Suncorp too, which leads me to suggest the Bunnies bounce back here. For the Dolphins, try scorers, Herbie, 5 tries in his last 4 games at Suncorp. Of course, snapped his streak last week, which is probably a bit of a weight off his shoulders. He didn't score, so maybe he salutes this week. Always a great bet. As is Jermaine Isako, 70 points in his last 4 games. He's paying $1.90 to dot here. The Hammer, though, he is your must-get-on special. 100th NRL game. He scored 4 tries in his last 3 games. He's at $1.78. Literally ticks every box. So get on him. Connolly Lemuelu, always tip him out. Scored for us last week. He's still paying $5.40. He's the leading try scorer in the NRL for bench players. Love him. Cody Nikarima as well, 8% Cody's. He's on a 3-game try-scoring streak. Shit, has he been in good form. $4.50 for the 8% Cody's to score. I like that too. Then for the Bunnies, AJ, of course, if he's not in your betting calculations, then you truly don't understand rugby league. 9 tries in his last 4 games. He's at $1.75 for 1, which is probably still overs for a prolific try scorer like him. And then he's paying $3.60 for 2 or more, which he's done in 2 of his last 4 games. So that is a decent shout. Ty Munro, you can get $2.05 for him. He's crossed in each of his last 2 games. And Keon, probably my roughie for the Bunnies, a big fella paying $5 that knows his way to the try line. Not the worst bet. Same game multi though. Finns 1-12, AJ and the Hammer, $7.55. I reckon that's a pretty straightforward bet for good return that I really like. So perhaps that's my same game multi of the week. Super Sunday, 2 games to round us out. Storm $1.35. Cronulla, $3.25. The Storm have won their past 9 straight games at Amy Park, and the Sharks, they've only won 1 of their last 7 trips to Melbourne as well. Of course, Sharkies bet them a couple weeks back, so they will head into this one a little bit confident off the back of that, but surely Storm at home, too good. Xavier Coates, he scored 35 tries in his last 33 games at Amy Park and 2 tries in his last 3 against Cronulla. Harry Grant, though, he has an insane strike rate against the Sharkies. He scored 6 tries in his last 4 games against them. He's paying $3.90 in this one. Love that. You're a wizard, Harry. And then Tyron Wishart, hot on the heels of Connolly Lemuelu in terms of try scorers off the Remu. He scored in his last 3 straight games as well, paying $4.40 for the Sharks. Ronaldo, 5 tries in his last 6 games against the Storm, $2.30. Pretty generous odds, as is Jesse Ramian, the ramen noodle. 4 tries in his last 4 games against Melbourne. Hasn't scored in a while though, so bet with caution. But if you think he could snap his streak against a team he clearly loves coming up against, $4.20, 1 for the Stoners there as well. So if you're a fan of a wake and bake, then maybe that ticks every box for you. Same game multi for me, Storm, Grant, Coates, $7.57. Final game, Titans $2.15, Cowboys $1.70. The Titans, they've won 4 of their last 5 against the Cowboys at Seabus Super Stadium, where this game will be played. And the lads from Townsville, they've conceded 138 points in their last 3 games. Leaky sieve type stuff. For your Titans try scorers, AKP, 6 tries in his last 3 games, 3 tries in his last 2 against the Cowboys, paying $1.62. He's a must jump on. Brimo, 9 tries in his last 13 games against the Cows. And Chrissy Randall, again, not another name I thought I would say in a punting segment in 2025, but he scored 2 tries in his last 2 games, paying $5.60 to score. Maybe that is too good for him to pass up. Cowboys, second row special for me. Nanai, 4 tries in his last 2 games against the Titans. $2.80. Love that. And then Murray Taulagi, of course, trying to play his way into Queensland for Origin Game 3. Odds are Billy will pick and stick after that win, but he's doing his best. He's played 2 games since returning from injury, and he's dotted in both, paying $1.73. Same game multi, though. I was tempted to go Titans, especially when I saw that stat around them beating the Cowboys at home. I went fence it, but perhaps Titans 1-12, just to eke out a few more odds if you're looking for something a little more juicy. Either team 1 to 12, AKP and Nanai though, will get you $6.55. Not the worst way to round out round 17 of your rugby league football. Then UFC, that's the other sport we're going to have a flutter on this week in great depth. I like the Māori All Blacks to beat Japan as well, but their odds, they're heavy favourites, so not really worth talking about. But UFC 317, I've got that multi in play as well, around the Warriors and Kai Carter France, both to win. You can find it in the NRL section under the TAB app or website. Otherwise, I'll chuck the link on my story and you can click through to that to have yourself a flutter if you like that. A bit of a Warriors mega multi there because, of course, Kai, wrestling coach, and the Warriors playing the Broncos. We've already talked about how they are going to beat them. But I love Kai in this. I love him head-to-head at $3. I love the fight to go the distance at $1.98 as well, after hearing Eugene Behrman, Kai's coach, say that he thinks Kai has the better fitness. Kai can go the distance and finish rounds 4 and 5 better, and he thinks that the fight could well go the distance. So clearly they are preparing for that. So that is not a bad option. And then my best bet for this one, and that is around the double chance option. I think if Kai gets the win early, it's by KO. He knocks him the fuck out. His nickname is literally Don't Blink. So if he catches Pantoja with a clean one across the chin, then it is good night, nurse. Otherwise, he gets the win on points. You got the double life there, $3.15, more than head-to-head. So if you're like me and you believe that we're going to have a new champ in the flyweight division, and it is the great man, the Kiwi, Kai Carter France, and $3.15, get around that. Hopefully we hear and new. That would be fucking huge on your Sunday morning. Get up the Kai Carter France and get up the Warriors. $8 for those two to both salute. Get amongst that, the old Surly Talk Sports exclusive multi. It's good to have those back. I don't know if it's a long-term thing or whether I'm just running it back just for this week, but stay tuned and get around it. Support the pod, show the TAB we are here in numbers. And good luck on the punt this weekend. So that's us for another week of Surly Talk Sport. Quick shout out to Auckland City, the club side, a 1-1 draw with the Boca Juniors in the FIFA Club World Cup this morning. I see their Instagram went up a crazy amount of followers. The young goalie who had himself a day, Garrow, he also shot up into fame rapidly too. Well done to them. 1-1 draw. That is massive, especially after getting spanked 10-0 not that long ago. Shout out to the Oklahoma City Thunder as well for winning the NBA. Didn't do a weekly wrap. Those two would have been mentioned. Gutting scenes for Tyrese Halliburton after he started that Game 7 so hot, but then snapped his Achilles. Going to be out for about a year, which pretty much rules him out of next season too. Tough times for the Pacers. To be fair, though, the fact they even made the finals was massive for them. And this could well be the start of a bit of an OKC dynasty. KD to the Rockets. That's interesting too. A great pickup for Houston. They get that out-and-out scorer that they needed. Plus, we get to see Steven Adams link up with his old OKC teammate. So a bit covered off there in the end. Didn't talk about it in its own segment. But hey, I've ticked that box. Now, up the mighty coat, playing Bays this week. My last home game at Harvey right before I hang up the boots, so that should be a sentimental one. And shout out to the great man Ryan Kennedy, his 100th game. An absolute pleasure to lace up with him for the majority of those. Enjoy your weekend sporting action. Go the Warriors, go Kai Carter France, and up the coat. And I'll catch you back here, same time, same place, next Thursday to reminisce, hopefully on some winning tips, courtesy of the TAB, and also a big Warriors dub with Kai Carter France, the new flyweight champion of the world. That would be unreal.